Gracious loving God, our Father, thank you for this day that you have added in our lives. You have called your Son from all the way from London to speak to the people whom you have chosen to minister in your vineyard. Father, be with us and help us and guide us. Even the speaker, bestow him the Spirit to enable to communicate your word powerfully into the hearts of your chosen. Help us, O Lord, to receive your word. Strengthen us by all your way and use us mightily in the days to come in your ministry. Even the speaker, we pray in Jesus' name.
Right, good morning, and as I said, I'm sorry for the delay, but it was a good morning for me to spend time in the school and see this wonderful work that's taking place. Now, as I said yesterday, our topic today will be science and the Bible, and we'll talk about creation, evolution issue a little bit. We'll keep the Big Bang till tomorrow. So, I put the title as Science Buried God. If we have science, we don't need God. Is that right? Not really. Because science is great, and we thank God for all the development that we all enjoy. I have this computer because people worked hard and developed this science. But what is the difference between the practical science and historical science? We'll address that in a moment. The verse I'd like to put before you, the Apostle Paul said to the church in Thessalonica, test everything, hold on to the good. So we are going to test all the theories. We are going to test all the views, right? But we will hold into the good. Faith is very important, and in Hebrews say, by faith we understand that the universe was formed at God's command, so that what is seen was not made out of what was visible. That means that God created from nothing. And the first law of physics says that the matter cannot create itself and it cannot be destroyed. So the laws of physics are less than what God can do. God can start from nothing and create the whole universe. So the universe did not create itself. It is not hydrogen and oxygen and nitrogen bumped into each other by chance and form the amino acids, and amino acids form protein, protein forms cells, cells forms you and me. This is not what happened. What happened, God created life. God created the universe. So God created our minds and He wants to use them. So when you come to the church, use your mind. Don't put your mind in neutral. No. God wants to use our mind, our intelligence, our understanding, and communicate through this understanding to all of us. I showed you this clip yesterday. I'll show it again. It's just 2 minutes, but it's very important because Richard Dawkins is very well-known atheist in Oxford, in Britain. And he wrote a book called God Delusion, as if God doesn't exist. And a few years ago, he put banners on the London buses saying, probably God doesn't exist, enjoy your life. Really, if God doesn't exist, I will not be able to enjoy my life. I'll be terrified because there is no control at all. So this atheist now is facing the question, and this question is how life started. Let us see what he says again.
sees the possibility that intelligent design might turn out to be the answer to some issues in genetics or in evolution?
It could come about in the following way. It could be that at some earlier time, somewhere in the universe, a civilization evolved by probably some kind of government means to a very, very high level of technology and designed the form of life that they seeded onto perhaps this planet. Now, that is a possibility and an intriguing possibility. And I suppose it's possible that you might find evidence for that if you look at the details of biochemistry and molecular biology. You might find a signature of some sort of design.
Wait a second. Richard Dawkins thought intelligent design might be a legitimate pursuit?
And that designer could well be a higher intelligence from elsewhere in the universe. But that higher intelligence would itself have had to have come about by some explicable or ultimately explicable process. It couldn't have just jumped into existence spontaneously. That's the point.
So, Professor Dawkins is not against intelligent design, just certain types of designers, such as God.
You see this dialogue? So Professor Dawkins was asked how life started on Earth. He said it must have started in another planet. Does he have an experiment to prove that? No. Does he have any evidence that this happened in the past? No. But he is proposing that life started in another planet. So, how it started in the other planet? He said by Darwinian evolution. Does he have experiment to prove that? No. And then imagine this cell will move in the outer space with lots of X-rays to kill it. Harmful X-rays. But suppose that this little cell will survive. It has to come through all the layers of the atmosphere to come into the Earth. And you remember when the aircrafts come, the space shuttles come, when they touch the atmosphere, there is great heat. As a result, they have a sheet of metal to be burned completely so they can allow the spacecraft to come through the layers of the atmosphere. Can you imagine one cell coming from outer space, jumping into here, and this cell will implant the earth and forms the animals and forms the human and forms the plants? This is impossible. This is not science. Evolution is a story, it is not science. And I'll talk to you about the definition of science in a moment. Now, a chap called Stephen Gould said evolution is a fact like apples falling out of trees. Yes, apple falls from the tree, and he said evolution is a fact. You just have to accept it. No, we don't have to accept it. We have to use our mind. We have to think, and we have to decide for ourselves. Now, why that is important reading in relation to the book of Genesis? When we try to communicate the gospel, we usually start by the birth of the Lord Jesus Christ in Bethlehem and his perfect life and his death and his resurrection and ascension to heaven. But actually all of that is based on something happened in the past, that we have fallen as a human nation and as a human race in Genesis when we disobeyed God and we were separated from God. That's why Jesus has to come and to pay the penalty. If that event in Genesis didn't happen, there is no need for Jesus to come to save us. So these are the basis of the Christian faith. That's why we have to defend these 11 chapters in Genesis perfectly. So that is the full gospel starting at the beginning. Now, when you read the Bible is not a scientific textbook. And some people say it's not scientific textbook. I said praise God for that. Because scientific textbooks change every 4 or 5 years. But the Bible is constant. But whatever the Bible says about history of science, it has to be true. You see the point? So it is not a scientific textbook. So if you want to solve a mathematical problem, you don't open the Bible to find the answer. Yes? But whatever the Bible says about science and about history is absolutely true. Now, if you visit the cultures, something like the Eastern culture, and ask them how the universe is supported, they say it is supported on turtle, and how this turtle is supported by 4 elephants. This is obviously a story. This is not really a proper way of explaining things. And you don't find something like this in the Bible at all. So this is the Eastern civilizations. Come now to the Greek civilization. We said how the earth is supported. They say it is on the shoulder of Atlas, very strong man, supporting the earth. You don't find things like that in the Bible at all. Yes? So these are the cultures which people invented these stories. But in the Bible you won't find things. You find that God hangs the earth on nothing. This is a verse in Job. Obviously, this is not the way to discover that the earth rotates on the space. This is not how to discover that. Yeah? But at the same time, whatever the Bible describes about history or science is absolutely true. It's completely different from these cultures of a turtle and elephants and the earth on top of it, or Atlas holding the whole universe on his shoulders. Yes? So that is the difference when you read the Bible. Okay, now we will go into the real subject now. How should we think about origins? The things that happened in the past and we can't repeat them in the present. There are 2 types of science. Science meaning knowledge. And there are 2 types of science. And I'd like you to concentrate on this. Because if we understand this, we'll understand the whole program. So that is an essential part of our study today. So there are 2 types of science. Operational science and historical science or origin science. What is the difference? The operational science is the science that you can repeat in the lab. You can do the experiment under certain conditions, you get the same results all the time. You can do it here in India, you can do it in Britain, you can do it in America, under same conditions, you get same results. We don't have any problem with that type of science. Both the Christian and atheist practice this type of science and they get the same results. Okay? So we have no issues at all with the operational science. Our problem with origin science, that things happened in the past, I can't repeat them in the present, I can't test them in the lab, so I have 2 starting points. One starting point saying there is no God and things formed itself. And that is really the evolution theory. And we have major problem with that. Another starting point, that in the beginning God created the heavens and earth. The beginning is time, God is the source of intelligence and power, and space and time, space and matter is the heaven and earth. Right. We will repeat that so we understand. If we understand this lecture, as I said, the whole program will be very easy after that. So what is the definition of operational science? I put the definition here and I'll explain it verse by verse. Operational science is to use something observable, something I can observe, something I can notice. When I was in the school, we went to the lab and you can put chemicals and see the reaction, something you can observe. And you can repeat it. If you put it under the same condition, if you mix hydrogen and oxygen, you will bring water, H2O, all the time. Okay? And it is under controlled environment. You have to adjust the temperature, you adjust the pressure, and you see a recurring pattern, something repeating itself all the time. And you observe that at the present. Okay? So, to summarize, the operational science is an experiment you can do and you can repeat under certain conditions to get the same results. Okay? And as I said, the Bible has no problem with that type of science. Actually, we can practice this type of science because there is God who put the rules. If the rules are changing every day, it would be a problem. But the rules are set by God and I can function with the operational science. This operational science, what brings us the airplane and gives us understanding of the DNA and the genetics and the cell and the diseases and the treatment and the operations, all of that is wonderful and we all agree with this type of science and there is no conflict between the operational science and Bible. So these are the products of the operational science and we thank God for them. We all use the mobile phones, we all use the computers, I came using 3 aeroplanes to come and visit you here. So that is great. If I was walking from Britain to here, it would take ages, I would never arrive. Yes? But thank you for the technology and for the science that we enjoy. But this type of science is operational science. Okay? Good. Now, there is another type of science called historical science. What is this historical science? I'll put the definition in a minute. But I'd like you to think of an accident, a crime scene. And after the crime is committed, people will come and try to construct the past, to build a story about the past. And sometimes when they convict a person who is the killer, for example, after 4 or 5 years, they found another evidence, and this person is not the killer, and they have to investigate again. So that is the historical science. Something happened in the past, and you try to construct what had happened, right? So that's where we have the difficulty. That's called origin science. It depends on if there is a reliable eyewitness. If somebody witnessed this accident and can tell us, and this person is reliable, that will be good. It will help us to build the past. Or you have to have circumstantial evidence. If you find some poison, for example, or some note of suicidal, or a knife or a bullet, you can think, oh, this person might have been killed by such and such. Yes? So it is something happened in the past, it is not repeatable. You can't bring the accident again to see how this person is killed. Yes? Can you do that? You can't. So you can't bring it back, so you have to build the structure of the past. Okay? I like these two definitions. We'll repeat them as we go along. But I'd like them to be very clear in your mind. So we have 2 types of science. Operational science, we can experiment that in the laboratory. We have no problem with that. Historical science are things that happened in the past. We cannot repeat it in the present. Yes, we have 2 different stories. We have atheist story saying there is no God. We have Christian story to say God created. See the difference? Right, good. We'll have a test because we are in a college, so there is an exam. Right? We all participate in this test. Right? So I put these 2 arrows in front of you here on the screen. I'll ask you one question. I don't want a public answer. Just put an answer in your mind. What is this in the origin? Originally, how it looked like? Okay? So at the present, I showed you 2 arrows on the screen, and I'm asking you how it looked like originally in the past. Okay? Everyone has an answer in his mind and her mind? The question is clear? Right. Okay, let us see the possibilities. Could it be like this? Yes. Could it be like this? Yes. Nothing to stop it being like this in the origin. Could it be like this? Yes. Could it be like this? So we saw to number D. Raise your hands. Okay, but it could be A or B or C or D. Right? Because what happened is, I showed you something in the present, 2 arrows, and I asked you a question which is impossible. Because I asked you what it looked like in the past. I haven't given you information, you construct the past, right? So, most of you thought it can't be like this, but it can be like this, can be like this, can be like this. Actually, I cheated all of you because it is written, it is drawn like this in the past. There is nothing missing. You see the point now? I hope you got the point. The point is, I showed you 2 arrows in the present, and I asked you how it looked like in the past. So I asked you a historical science, right? And in the historical science, there are many possibilities. How I can know the possibilities? I need more information. I haven't given you this information, so you can't reconstruct the past. Okay? I hope if you understand this, that would be great. There is more exercises to come. Get ready, okay? Right, good. Right. We'll all tighten our seat belts and we are in an airplane and we go to Paris in Europe and we visit Eiffel Tower. Eiffel Tower is a beautiful place. I visited that. And we will practice the operational science and historical science together. Right? Okay. Can I know who built this monument, this tower? Is it historical science or operational science? Historical. An engineer called Gustav built this wonderful tower. If I go and visit the tower, I will not be able to know who had built it unless I go to a history book to tell me who built this tower. Yes? Right. Can I know it is the biggest building in Paris? Is it historical or operational? What? It is the tallest building in Paris. It's operational or historical? Operational, because I can have a meter and measure the height of this and compare it to all the houses in Paris and see this is higher or lower than them. So that's operational. Right. Can I know it was the entrance to the World Fair? It's historical or operational? Historical. This is something happened in the past, so I have to find a history book to tell me it was built in 1889 and it was the entrance to the World Fair. It is the tallest building in Paris. It's operational or historical? Operational. Well done. Right, so we'll put them again just to confirm. How really we know? Gustav designed it. It's operational or historical? Historical. Yes, because I never met Gustav, he died, but he built this wonderful thing. And I can know that from a history book, a reliable history book. Right. It's built in 19th century. It's historical or operational? Historical. Well done. It was the entrance to the World Fair. It's historical or operational? Historical. Right? Good. So now we are differentiating historical science and operational science. Historical science, operational science. Keep thinking that way, because that will help us when we discuss Darwin theory in detail. Right. Observational science has its own limitation. Yes? What I mean by that? We observe things that we can see, and we hear things that within a certain wavelength. So, in this room, there are lots of waves of the BBC and CNN and television programs. In this room, they are there already, but they don't have the television to tune it, to pick up these signals and see the picture. Yes? So, there are lots of things around me, but I can't see them because we have 5 senses: the hearing, the seeing, the taste, touch, and smell. Anything lies outside the 5 senses I can't comprehend. That's right? So God is a spirit, so God lies outside the 5 senses. So I can't test God in the laboratory using my 5 senses. I cannot do that. That doesn't mean it doesn't exist. As I said, there are ways now which is giving programs on CNN and BBC and all the channels on the television, but I can't see them. Yes? Because my eye cannot see them, my ear cannot hear them, unless I get a television set and tune it and get the voice and get the picture. So the observational science has its own limitation. Okay? Some people come and say to me, if I can't test God in the lab, I will not believe in Him. I say, can you test how many kilograms of love in your heart or hate in your heart? Can you measure that in the lab? Does love exist? Does hate exist? Yes. So it is not just examining in the laboratory. Yes. This is not the measure all the time. You see these points? These are just building blocks for our discussion when we enter into evolution. Now, we'll have more difficult tests. This is from BBC. and I'll tell you the background of this, and you will listen to it. It takes about 3 minutes, and I would like you to differentiate between operational science and historical science all the time. Okay? So that's the exercise. The background to this. In Europe, they built satellites to examine something called comets. Comets are like ice cubes, just stuck there and ice rotating around the sun, around the earth, and get burned and disappear and some form again and again. So they wanted to examine this and study it more properly. So what they did, they built this spacecraft, which is amazing, and it took 10 years to travel in the space, and that's operational science, to reach there. And now we will have the reporter interviewing the scientist who is responsible for this project. And I'd like you to differentiate between what is historical science and what's operational science in this interview. Are we ready? Yes, go for it.
Anyone has tried to set down a lander on a comet that's speeding through the solar system at 40,000 miles an hour. There's a lot that could go wrong, and I'm joined by Dr. Matt Taylor, who is project scientist for the Rosetta mission. Now, there already has been a slight glitch this morning, hasn't there? One of the thrusters on the lander isn't working. What does that mean?
Well, that thruster's there to give a little bit of an extra push to ensure that the lander will affix itself to the comet. So we have ice screws, we also have a couple of harpoons. That deployment, you also want to push down to make sure there's not much bounce. So there are indications, we're not totally sure what's wrong with the thruster system. It's just a little thruster on top of the space of the lander. If it's not working, we might bounce a little higher and rely more on the screws and the harpoons to get us back on the comet.
What kind of terrain will the lander be setting down on? It's not a particularly friendly place on the surface of this comet, is it?
No, it's certainly not believable. We've spent the last year being fascinated by moving from what we thought was a great potato to this black swan that we're landing on. It's got numerous different kinds of features, cliffs, these large boulders. Hopefully we're lucky enough to not go near one of those and we land on a relatively smooth spot. It could be a dusty like cigarette ash, it could be more like kitty corals or cat litter, that kind of consistency. It's got the density of cork or styrofoam. So all of this is ahead of us, and the next day we start to find out really what that surface layer is like by putting the lander down there.
I suppose the big question is, this has cost lots of money, in excess of €1 billion. Why bother? Why do this?
This mission is there to answer some of the fundamental questions of how our solar system formed, why it formed, why the planets evolved as they did, and fundamentally why we're here as well. Comets are leftover debris from the early solar system formation, so when we look back in time at these, it gives an indication of how things evolved. They're linked to us. They're water, possibly the water, the 50% water ice we find on the comet, could have been the delivery mechanism to the Earth. They also have organics on them. That could be a way of putting building blocks of life on Earth. That's what we're looking at.
So hopefully when you get down there, you'll be able to find some of these things out, but there is a lot that could go wrong with this particular mission. How are you feeling today? What do you think the chance of success actually is?
I'm a project scientist. We're here to do science. We've been doing science for the last year. We'll continue to do science all the way through next year. I'm incredibly confident that we're going to nail this landing. I'm confident enough to have it drawn on my body. So that's what I did it for. That's why we're here.
So a tattoo. Should we take a look? Let's have a look at your tattoo here.
That's my prediction for later today, that we get the lander on the comet.
So you must be pretty confident to have that already drawn on the surface of your leg already.
That's my prediction. We're all going now. We're going to go.
Right, okay, this is the clip. Right, I'll summarize again because sometimes the English is not very clear. So I'll summarize again. What happened is spent €1 billion, that's loads of money, to build this shipcraft which went to this comet and landed on the comet. The comet is very soft landing, so they had problems in attaching the spacecraft into the comet, but they solved this problem. That's operational science, yeah? And then the reporter asked the scientist saying, why are you spending all this money? He said, very important things. would like to know how the universe is formed, would like to know how the water came into the earth, because the comet is like ice cube. So he thinks these ice cubes are the vehicle through which the water came into earth. And 70% of the earth's surface is water. Can you expect coming from these ice cubes are filling and filling and filling and filling? And then he said, if we find carbon, this is the essential component of life. So that might be the carbon that came to earth and forms you and me. I'd like to differentiate now between operational science and historical science. What is the operational science in this clip? Building the spacecraft, yes? Sending it for 10 years and controlling it as operational. But can we expect it to answer the question that these cubes, these comets, are the source of water on Earth? This is not really the proper science. Now, we are all seeing the world, the same world. We have the same facts. Both the atheist and the Christian have the same facts. But we have different glasses by which we see the facts. So if I change my glasses now and put a lens which is red, I will see all your faces as red. Not because you have changed, but because I've been wearing the wrong glasses. Yes? So we have the glasses of the atheist, which are looking at the world and saying it formed itself. And we have the glasses of the Christian, which says the Word of God explains how the world is formed. So, the man decides the truth, or God decides the truth. And how can we know the truth really? So let us start the secular starting point. What do they believe? Number one, they believe that nature is all that exists. Only matter, only carbon and hydrogen and elements, these are the only thing that exists and nothing else. Right? How these things can form life? They say everything can and indeed must be explained by time, chance, laws of nature. So give me millions of years, give me chances by chance, and by laws of nature, anything can form. Life can form, all the chemicals and all the organic things in the world will form by time, chance, and laws of nature. So they don't have God as the person who is giving power and life. Okay? All what they have is three elements: time, chance, laws of nature, and nothing else. That's called religion of atheism or naturalism. That's the natural understanding of the world. They try to explain it by saying matter is all what exists, time, chance, and laws of nature. Can they explain life with this? No. We found that Richard Dawkins could not explain life and said it happened in another planet and came here. So in order to have life, you have a source of life, and God is the source of life. We'll do a little exercise again. Are we ready? Yes? If you look at a cloud like this, what happened? Water evaporates, comes to a cold space, and it condenses and forms this shape of the cloud. So this cloud is formed by time, chance, and laws of nature. You agree? Yes, it happens as a result of laws of nature. You evaporate, come to a cold atmosphere, then it condenses and forms this cloud. If you find the word apple written on the cloud, can you expect the word apple coming from the chance and time and laws of nature? No chance, because that means intelligence. And apple means something in English language, but it doesn't mean anything if you're speaking Russian or Arabic. So language means intelligence. Picture. If you have this rock, it's fallen because there is wind and time and pressure, and it's fallen. So it's a chance, time, and laws of nature. If you go to this a place in America, a place called Rushmore, and you find the heads of the presidents of the United States encarved on this rock. Can you say, look how the rain and the wind and the dust and the laws of nature form this picture? Can you come to this understanding? Impossible. Because there is intelligence here. There is crafting. It's not chance, time, and laws of nature. If you come to this is very common in Spain and places like this in Europe. The artist will build this from the sand. Can you say the sand and the water form this? No. There must be a scientist. There must be an artist who built this. So time, chance, and laws of nature are not enough to explain the world. Okay, let me show you this film.
The human eye is a marvel of design, much like a video camera, but far more advanced and versatile. Like some cameras, the eye is autofocusing. To do this, man-made cameras have to move the whole lens, but our eye changes the shape of its lens. Like a camera, the eye bends incoming light and creates an image inside the eye. But unlike cameras, the eye also sharpens the image along the edges. Similar to some cameras, the eye automatically adjusts to brightness, so we can see day or night. In fact, in dark conditions, the eye increases its sensitivity to light up to 100,000 times. Eyes are much more sophisticated than cameras. They convert the light image into electrochemical signals, which are sent immediately to a brain that processes the images and makes necessary adjustments. Many other aspects of the eye surpass anything humans can design. Eyes are self-cleaning, self-lubricating, and self-repairing. Even more marvelous, eyes are built automatically in the womb. No camera can repair or build itself. Evidence of design appears in all types of animals. Each eye seems specially designed for its environment, whether an eagle in flight or a fish in the sea. For example, owls have a special surface in the back of their eye which reflects light back through the retina. It helps them to see better in the dark. Flies have another design, a compound eye, which helps them to detect the slightest motion. Such diverse yet exquisitely designed eyes show the handiwork of our Lord.
Who would think that the eye can happen by time, chance, and laws of nature? Anyone? I'm glad there is no one here thinks that the eye can happen as a chance and time and laws of nature. It has to have a designer. And why I have two eyes and they are coordinating and the picture comes and goes to something called chiasma and goes to the brain and the brain can interpret the picture. So when I see somebody I haven't seen for 10 years, oh, this is my friend such and such. And this happens in a fraction of a second. Can that happen by chance, time, and laws of nature? Impossible. Impossible. And the nervous system, and lots of others. I mean, I can show you many, many films. I just took one to explain to you that we are very complicated. We have to have a designer. We have to have a creator. And this creator is all powerful and very intelligent to be able to make your body and my body. Okay? Right. Let us see. So, what Darwin says, it's starting by one cell, and this started to branch and branch and branch till we come to all the living creatures now here. Now, to come from a simple cell and you need increased information to come from amoeba to a fish, to a reptile, to a bird. You need more information on the gene, because the genetic pool is the one which is giving the direction to form an arm, to form a leg, to form a skin. All this information are in the center of the cell, in the nucleus. right? So the nucleus of amoeba does not have the information to make a leg or to make an eye. Now, if we start with single cell like amoeba and expect it to increase, that means we need information to form a leg, to form an eye, to form a stomach, to form a skin. From where this information is coming? Matter cannot create information. This table cannot create information. Information comes from intelligence, from mind. See the point? I hope this little point just be very clear in your mind, because when we talk about natural selection and mutation, and we discuss that in a separate lecture, we will be able to understand these things if we have these building blocks in our mind. Okay? Right. So what we call from microbe to microbiologist. That means from microbe one cell to microbiologist is the doctor who deals with analysis and things. It's called microbiologist. So from microbe to microbiologist, that's impossible. That's not by chance, time, and laws of nature. It cannot happen. This is not science. This is a story of atheism. People who want to exclude God from their lives. Now, this is very important picture. They said we started with one cell amoeba and then we became fish. You remember the clip I showed you yesterday? David Attenborough saying because the fish started to develop spinal column, the fish came out of water and became amphibians, and the amphibians became reptiles, and reptiles became birds, and birds became animals, and animals formed you and me. This is not, you are laughing and you are right to laugh, but this is what is taught in universities, this is what is taught in schools in Britain, and if you speak about God the Creator, the teacher will be judged by the head master, and they will not allow to continue teaching. You are laughing at this, but this is the challenge you are going to face when you go out in ministry, and people now with the internet and all the connections, they will know everything all over the world. So these are the questions you'll be asked. So this is what we call vertical evolution, and this is against the Bible, and against science, and against logic. Now, there is another type of evolution. This is the model of creation. God created fish with different kinds, according to its kind. As we study biblical creation, we'll understand that God created according to its kind. What that does mean? Imagine if there are 200 types of dogs. God did not create 200 types of dogs in day 6 of creation. He created the wolf with the genetic pool which differentiates into 200 types of dogs. Okay? And that applies to the plants, applies to every creature. God created in families, according to its kind, according to its kind, according to its kind. This is written 10 times in chapter 1 in Genesis. Very important to study the text properly. So, we believe there are changes within the kind. Yes, within the kind there are changes. Because there are different types of dogs, as I said. They look different, they behave different, they live in different environments. That's because God created the genetic pool which can differentiate into all this. So we believe in change. We believe in change within the kind. But the dogs cannot be cats. The dogs cannot be elephants. But they stay dogs. These things are very important, really important. Just get all of that, because when we study the theory itself, we need all of this information. So the vertical evolution is against the word of God and against science. The change within a kind, yes, it is an observational science.
Professor Dawkins, can you give an example?
Yeah, let me just
genetic?
stop that for a minute and come back to it. Now, in order to change from a simple to complex, what do you need? You need added information, right? To understand this terminology, you need more genetic material in the cell to be able to give instruction to form an arm, form a leg, to form the stomach, to form the brain, Yeah? So you need added information. Do you all understand this? Yes, because this is important, yeah? So, to move from amoeba to come to fish, you need to breathe underwater, you need to form scales, you need to be able to see underwater. So all that needs added information on the genetic code, yes? Right? Now, we'll meet Professor Dawkins again, and he will have one question. And the question is, from where this amoeba got information to form a fish, and where the fish got information to form a frog, and where the frog got information to form a reptile, and where the reptile got information to form wings and fly, and where the wings and fly decided to become animals, and where the information come to become man. Okay? So that is the question. Let us see how he answered that one.
Professor Dawkins, can you give an example of a genetic mutation or an evolutionary process which can be seen to increase the information in the genome?
This is the clip. Yes, that's all. So, if anybody will understand the evolution and increase information, it must be Professor Dawkins, really. And when he was asked, Professor Dawkins, can you give me one example, just one example, of a process that increased information in the genetic pool to move from one lower to a higher creature? That's his answer, silence. He refused to give interviews after this to any creationist scientist. And I don't blame him, because he doesn't have an answer. Okay? Right. Let me just, I can stop it in a minute to receive your question if you want to ask me a question now, but I'll just show you this picture before we progress. Right. We'll start here with Archosaurus. This is the dinosaurs. And the word dinosaurs meaning reptiles, horrible lizard. And it is invented by a person called Richard Owen in 1841. And he described this big skeleton and he called it, these are reptiles, horrible reptile, horrible lizard. And the characteristics of the dinosaur is the big tail to help the balance, and the two arms in the front are very short and they are like this. They don't have shoulder to make wings like this. Okay? So the arms in the front are small and we don't know how they operate really. So they believe that dinosaurs became birds. Some of them became crocodiles and some of them became birds. Can you imagine a heavy dinosaur with heavy muscles and with heavy bone becoming like a chicken with fine bone and with feathers and with wings? You are laughing at this, and I'm glad you are, but this is what is called science. It is not. It is history. It is historical. So they think that dinosaurs became birds. In order to fly, you have to have the feather, and you have to have the wings, and you have the ability to know directions, and you have to change the breathing system altogether, because they take oxygen very quickly because they need energy. The muscle attachments has to change, the digestive system has to change, and there will be oil for the bird to use his beak to lubricate this feather. So if it rains, it will not become heavy and drop. So there are major changes. Can this happen by chance, time and laws of nature? Impossible. Really impossible. So they believe that this now became chicken. I was giving this lecture in the Middle East, in Dubai, in the area around Dubai, and the mother was attending with her son John, and I got permission to say this story really. And John was about 10 years, but he's a very intelligent boy. He read Encyclopedia Britannica and all of that. So every time his mother is preparing chicken for dinner, he says, Mom, we are eating dinosaurs. Because that's what he thinks, that dinosaurs became chicken, became birds. So he came to the lecture and I explained things to him, and I had time to explain that it's impossible to happen. So I had an email from his mother thanking me for this, and then another email after that saying, thank you very much, because John came from the school asking what's for dinner. I said dinosaurs with mushroom. So he said, no Mom, I stopped believing these stories, I believe the Bible. And that is really important, because all the generations coming, they will believe that dinosaurs became birds. And that is the present birds that we are having nowadays. That is not science. I'll take you to a museum in America, and they show this bird and say, this is living dinosaur. Can you believe them? But this is science, according to what they call science. Yes? You see the difference now between the operational science and the observation science? This is essential when we discuss Darwinian evolution, not today, not now, obviously in another session. So that is when you go to a museum, they are supposed to be a place of learning, a place of information, and you go, you find this bird, and you say, this is a living dinosaur. And you have to believe that. No, you don't. Because you have the Word of God, you have the Bible to tell you that God created according to its kind, according to its kind, according to its kind. Right, so this is a picture. Started with dinosaurs, become chicken at the end. Kentucky Fried Chicken. Right? So this is obviously just for fun. But this is what is called science. This is what is called science. So we have to be very careful. When you listen to anything on the news or any program, when you read any article, try to differentiate. It is historical science or operational science. It is something I can prove in the laboratory, or this is a story they are telling me. This is a story. Yes. Right. I would like to finish with a couple of things here and give you a chance to ask me questions if you want this time. Right. If the dinosaurs are becoming birds, they have to develop wings. Yes? And they have to develop feather. And the feather is a very complicated structure actually, because there is primary feather and secondary feather. The secondary feather gives the balance of the bird when it's flying. Okay? So, in order for dinosaurs to become birds, they have to develop this feather. So in 1999, in National Geographic, which is a very well-respected scientific paper, they said new bird-like fossils are missing links in dinosaur evolution. So they found a fossil which is half bird and half reptile. Okay? And because of that, they say, oh, this is the missing link. This is the link between dinosaurs and birds. And they called Guntur, and they were very delighted that this is the missing link. And they got this specimen from China. And they were saying, okay, now we have the evidence of dinosaurs becoming into birds. And say we are confidently that this is what had happened. They talk about historical science. They say this is exactly what happened, because now we have a specimen, partly dinosaur and partly as a bird. A few months later, it was discovered it was a fraud. A very clever farmer in China put a specimen of a dinosaur and a specimen of a bird and mixed them together and glued them very cleverly and sold it to the Americans with loads and loads of money. And when they studied the specimen more and more, they found it is a composite between two different specimens, not related to each other, and this is not the intermediate link at all. But you know, when they advertised it in the National Geographic, it was the first page. Everybody would say, oh, we found the missing link. When they denied in two lines at the back of the circular later on, a few months later. So we have to be very careful what the world is giving us. We have to think. And as I said, examine everything, but hold into the good. So we examine all things and hold into the good. Right. I'll finish with a couple of things. With this clip and one slide. And I'll stop at this lecture and in the afternoon we'll continue. Now, they say the dinosaurs lived on Earth 240 million years ago. And they were extinct 65 million years ago. I'd like to just to think about these millions. I don't believe in the millions as will come to the days of creation. And as I explained yesterday. Right. So this is a scientist called Mary Schwartz, and she is not a Christian, and she was examining a specimen of a dinosaur, and she found red blood cells, and she found soft tissues. Soft tissues don't live for millions of years. They can only live for thousands of years because they can decay, right? So the presence of soft tissues or blood means this is a recent specimen. So it was a specimen of a dinosaur, and she found these soft tissues, and she found red blood cells. So she said that's impossible, because they have died 65 million years ago. So that cannot be right. So what she did, she repeated the experiment again and again and getting the same results. That's operational science. But in her mind, they have extinct 65 million years ago. She says that there must be bacteria which allowing them to live that long. She doesn't want to change her mind saying it's only 1,000 years, because the facts are telling her it's only 1,000 years. But her mind says it is 65 million and she's fixed on that. You see, even if the facts, the operational science tells us something different, when we start with a mindset saying this is 65 million years, it will not work. Listen to Mary Schwartz.
Not going to believe this. But when she picked up a small piece to stop the reaction by putting it in water, it stretched and it squirmed and it moved all over the place. So we knew we had something pretty unusual.
It appears to be soft tissue. When they look at neighboring parts of the bone, they're even more surprised.
Out popped the blood vessels, and they were pretty incredible. And I said, I don't believe it, that's not possible, we need to do it again, and again. It's one of those just goosebump-inducing scientific moments, that's all I can say. And they don't really happen very often.
Blood vessels should not exist in fossilized bone. Many scientists believe organic molecules can't last more than 100,000 years. Yet Schweitzer's bone is 68 million years old.
I think the presence of soft tissues and cells indicates there's a process going on that we didn't have a clue about. So I think it means that we have to kind of rethink the whole chemical process of making a bone turn into a fossil.
Can you see the problem here? She found soft tissues which cannot last for millions of years. But she believes that they were extinct 65 million years. So she doesn't want to change that bit. Yes? She said there must be chemical process that we don't understand that allow these soft tissues to live for 65 million years. But the facts in front of her eyes say it's not millions of years. It's only thousands of years. You see the point? You see how we can be biased? I'll finish with this, Nebraska man. Right, what is this Nebraska man? In 1992, they found some fossils and they said, this is the ape man. This is the link between the man and the apes, because they believe that we came from apes and common ancestor. Obviously, this is the evolution theory, which is incompatible with the Bible. Evolution theory cannot be inserted in the Bible. They are two different origin events. Now, they described this person and his wife and the life that he lived. And do you know what is found? One tooth. One tooth. Can you imagine? One tooth can give you all this information? That's the artist. He decided this is the missing link. So all what is found is one tooth. And from this one tooth, they came to this Nebraska man. Wait a minute. In 1920 and 1928, they reinterpreted this and discovered this tooth belongs to an extinct pig. It doesn't belong to man at all. So I'd like you to imagine, you can find that on the internet, by the way. Go and search Nebraska man, and you'll find all these details. So it's not something I'm just putting in here. Yeah? Right. Imagine if you are a Christian living in 1922, and this Nebraska man came and all the books started to write about it, and say this is the intermediate link. You say, okay, I must really forget about the Bible, it tells that Adam is created in the image of God, and believe in Nebraska man. Wait till 1928, when it is all denied, then you have to reverse your faith again. So we don't follow what is in the books or in the media, we follow what the Bible has said and the truth of the Bible. I stop here, I covered lots of things, and I'd like you to absorb all of that, and then in the afternoon, 2:30, we'll start again, and I'll continue, and we'll talk about the evolution theory in detail. Till now, we haven't discussed the evolution theory yet, or the Big Bang. We're going to discuss them in detail, but all of this just to help you to understand what's happening. Right, any questions? Nothing at the moment. As I said, if you don't ask me questions, I'll ask you questions. So, what is the difference between operation? Any question? No? Right. What is the difference between operational science and historical science? What is the definition of operational science? You don't have to give me the full explanation that I put, but anybody to explain? Sorry, can you raise your voice? Where is the mic? Yeah.
Time.
Yeah.
Time, change, and intelligence.
Time and
Observable. That is.
Observable.
Yeah, that can be changeable.
And
Experimental.
Experimental.
Yeah.
At present. Yes. Observable. And what?
And detectable.
Repeatable. Okay, fine. Right. What is historical science?
Some found is one is.
Yeah. Anybody else? Yeah, quickly, because you need to take your break now. Yeah. What is historical science? That. Yeah. Can you come in front and or give the.
Eyewitnessing testimony.
Yeah. Come. Yeah. Historical science. Yeah.
Eyewitness historical circumstances.
Yes, depending on circumstances, right? And it is an event that happened in the past. Yes.
Yes.
And number two, I can't repeat it in the present. Yes. So this is something happened in the past, like creation happened in the past. We can't examine it in the laboratory, but we depend on the eyewitness to start. Thank you. That's very good. Right. What is the naturalistic starting point? What is their assumption? Number one. Anyone, raise your hands and come to the microphone, and don't be shy and say the wrong things. Yeah, the naturalistic point of view is matter is all what exists, and everything must be explained by three things: what they are, time, chance, laws of nature. Right, well done. So that's the difference between historical and operational science and the naturalistic starting point.
Is the naturalistic starting point suitable to explain life? No, because life has to come from life. It doesn't come from chemical reactions. Good. That's a quick review, but keep thinking. I know this is lots of information. I know, understand that. But take your time, absorb them, and by the end of the week, you'll learn more and more, and you'll be able to discuss these things confidently. And that's really my prayer. Spend this week with you to be able to be confident in the Word of God and dealing with scientific issues in a logical way. Okay? Any more questions or comments? Great. So I'll hand it over to the leaders.
So this is the subject that I am teaching for the last 5 years. Some of the things I have already taught to my students. To close this session, I request our principal to come and close it with prayer.
Let's pray. Gracious God, we thank you for this beautiful opportunity to learn through your servant the paradox that exists between science and Bible. But thank you for the various means that you are providing to understand and also to solve these questions. We very sincerely pray for the life of Dr. Maggie, that he has committed to serve you by educating many people and preparing them to answer these complex questions. Lord, as he's going to spend another few days here, we pray, Lord, you grant him good health and make him a very useful instrument so that all our students here will be blessed and all the students will equip themselves in these areas and they will make use of all these resources so that they will become effective witnesses when they go into the world. Bless all the community, bless all those who are participating here, and also, Lord, make the entire learning process a blessing to our community and also the word of God. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Thank you.